So, Luigi, what does this battle over the future of Warner Brothers between Paramount and Netflix, what do you think about first?
Both mergers are bad from a competition point of view. I think that it's very simple because the Clayton Act says that mergers should be illegal when they may be substantially lessen competition. And here, uh, either one will dramatically lessen competition. Think about the merger with Netflix. This is the number one and the number three streamers merging. When you produce a movie, or Bethany, you have the experience. When you produce a book, you put the book up for auction. So if there are only two or three bidders for that book, the price you're going to get is much lower than if there are 10 bidders. Consumers might be affected more indirectly, in the sense, on the streaming side, of course, they're going to get their prices increase. So they should scream on that. But when it comes to movies, they're going to be affected by having more crappy movies, but it's such an indirect effect that they don't start to scream now. But remember when Simon Schuster tried to buy Penguin, or vice versa? What was the
Yeah,
case?
yeah. I don't remember which way it was, but I remember that whole fight.
Yeah, that's exactly the same case. That deal was blocked by the antitrust precisely for the reason I just described. Look, I think that is a clear-cut case of an illegal merger that I actually wonder. I wish we had a legal expert, but I wonder whether a board should be held accountable for such a decision. Because if boards are protected by the business judgment rule.
Yeah.
However, they're not protected to if they advocate something that is blatantly illegal.
But doesn't that bump right up against their duties to maximize value for shareholders and therefore to take this and especially as it turns into a bidding war? How would you sort those out?
Wait. This is you're touching a very sensitive topic because yes, there are people, and one of which, ironically, is now a judge. So Easterbrook Fischer, a long time ago, said that the duty to maximize shareholders' value should go as far as trying something illegal, especially if you can get away with.
Did he really?
Yes.
When was that argument?
This
you have to
yeah, I
forward me
will
this.
provide you the footnote. Is in the case precisely about mergers.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
However, and again, I'm not a legal scholar, but my reading of the overwhelming doctrine is that the first duty of loyalty you have is to the law. And so you can't push something that is profitable when it's illegal.
What did the world make of this argument when he put it out there? Was it met with condemnation, or did people just shrug? Did it go anywhere? Or is it just a footnote in history?
I think actually, to be completely fair, was a footnote in the article.
Okay.
And so I don't think that the world unilaterally sort of debated this.
But life is in the footnotes, Luigi.
I love that. Is it your quote or you're quoting
No,
something there?
I just made it up right now, I think.
But it's true, actually. Life is in the footnotes. I think that you should brand that. It's a fantastic saying.
Thank you.
But I think that is really a subtle argument that is debated in the literature, but not is not openly debated because nobody will have the courage to say that in public, right? Because you will have the condemnation of
Yes.
99.9% of the population.
Yes.
However, I think that many of the arguments that have been made are very much in this line that if you can get away, you should try.
So he
And go ahead.
so he just spoke the unspoken rule.
Exactly.
Okay.
And at the time was not a judge, to be honest.
Yeah. Fascinating, fascinating. Okay, so that brings us back to this merger and to your argument, and that's interesting. And I have not actually looked at the composition of the board to see who might be inclined to stick with the letter of the law, who might be inclined to make that argument. But I'm going to bet that that's not the way it will go.
No, of course. But what is also interesting is they did get a legal opinion, of course,
Of course.
uh, to proceed. But the lawyer who is advocating is somebody who repeatedly advocated for mergers that did not were not found legal. So I think that there might be some benefit to specialize in making outrageous claimant because you get a lot of business.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you have a view on whether on the political nature of this argument and the fact that there is what looks like crony capitalism at work, or there could be, in the sense that Jared Kushner is part of the Paramount operation, and Trump is close to Larry Ellison, and so there's that, and then on the other side there's this Democratic push to have Netflix win because of the political affiliations of Netflix people. What do you think?
What I think is, in my 2012 book, I said that the United States is looking more and more like Italy without the good food and wine. And I never said something more true than this. And it says, I don't believe myself how much the politicization of business that was typical of Italy has become entrenched in the United States at the level that are appalling even to an Italian. So I think that we have to go to Bananas Republic now to have a comparison. It's pretty clear that President Trump is kind of hedging on what he's doing because he wants to maximize the amount of attention and rent seeking he's getting on both sides of the deal. And it's also true that his princelings, like his son-in-law, are siding with one or the other to try to push the stuff through. And I think that the right thing to do is to block both mergers. This is good from an economic point of view, is even better from a freedom point of view, because, of course, the more you consolidate the industry, the less variety of opinions, and not just on the news side. The news side is incredibly important, but also on the movie side. I think one of the distinctive feature of the American society is that we process a lot of our issues through movies. And in a consolidated movie industry, more and more points of view would be left out of the discussion. And it's not only artistic beauty that will be impacted, but also our very freedom.
Yeah. So I read, it was interesting. I was reading Politica this morning, and there was a note in there about mergers and about a high profile merger lawyer saying that now it's not enough just to have an antitrust strategy and an FTC strategy. You have to have a White House strategy. And I thought that is one of the most frightening lines I've read. And well, I mean, there's a lot that's a little, I shouldn't say one of the most frightening lines I've read in a long time, but it was jarring to see that, because that's crony capitalism at work, right? Per your point. But I also agree with you. And in this age of AI, where AI is then scraping the content and regurgitating it back to us, it also seems all the more important to have, before we even get into the issue of how creators are paid, but it seems all the more important to have not to have a monolithic point of view, because that monolithic point of view is then going to be spat back to us in it through AI, and so it's going to reverberate as well. It's not just the point of it, which is big enough per your point about freedom, but it's the way in which that point of view is now going to reverberate, echo, whatever you want to say, throughout the rest of our society.
Yeah, I completely agree.